On this episode of ResiWeek, ISE becomes 4 shows, the Powerhouse Alliance 2021 predictions, and smart building opportunities. All this and more on this episode of ResiWeek.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is ResiWeek, episode 268. Does it work?
Support for AVNation is brought to you by
Atlona, the go-to provider for AV signal distribution and control in corporate, higher education, and residential spaces.
Welcome to ResiWeek. This is your weekly roundup of all the latest news and stories for the residential AV industry. I'm your host, Matt D. Scott for AVNation.tv. And this week, I'm pleased to be joined by 3 of my good friends. First, we have Mr. Joseph Whitaker. He is the CEO of Thoughtful Integrations. How are you, brother Joe?
Another beautiful day, another beautiful day.
Excellent.
It's actually not, it's raining here. What am I talking about?
I have no idea. It's cold up here.
It feels beautiful. How about that?
Well, that's good. That's good. Then we have the one and only Dennis Holzer. He is the CEO of Powerhouse Alliance. How are you, sir?
I am terrific, and it is a beautiful day in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
That's good. That's good.
Unusual, but today is a beautiful day.
Well, there you go. Last but not least, hopefully having a beautiful day down in Virginia is Mr. Henry Clifford. He is the president of Livewire and the co-founder of Parasol. How are you, sir?
Doing great, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Is it a beautiful day in Virginia?
It's always sunny in Richmond, Virginia.
Beautiful. All right, gentlemen, we are going to kick today off with, we'll call it a bright note. Maybe not a sunny note, but a bright note. This comes to us from AVNation.tv. ISE 2021 is going to evolve to support the AV industry, getting back to business. If you missed it, this happened just a couple days ago. ISE was planned for Barcelona, but yeah, it's not exactly going to happen the way it was planned. They're going to break it up into 4 individual 2-day events. First in the first week of June, it'll be in Barcelona, then in Munich, then in Amsterdam, and wrapping up in London. So essentially 2 days each location, following a week after one another, to get the industry together, as well as support it with a bunch of digital pieces as well for people that obviously can't travel. Joseph, let me start with you. What does this mean for ISE? ISE is a pretty big show. It's pretty important to both Avixa and Cedia. Is this kind of the best of both worlds, to break it up and do it in 4 different locations to try and maximize some in-person attendance backed up by the digital content?
Well, it's definitely the safest, right? Not only safest for the attendees and the manufacturers, but safest for ISE. We've learned over the past 3 years, even previous to the pandemic, that regionals work. You look at the Tech Summit here and some other things they do in the UK. Regionals are actually pretty successful. You talk about being able to fill more booths, shake more hands, whatever the case may be. Right now, I think it is the smartest way to go. Now, of course, I don't know what the monetaries look like on that. When you break something up, where you expected a whole bunch of revenue in one place, and now you got to tell Sony, hey, I need you to go to 4 places instead of 1. But when you talk about an industry like ours, or even on the commercial side, banding together, I do see this as the all-around right thing to do. We know that you want this live show. However, we know there's lots of travel restrictions. So there's going to be a lot of people and manufacturers that would have missed out if it would have been facilitated the way that it's typically done. So it gives a lot of people opportunity that was taken away, kind of gives it back to them a little bit. So I actually do think it's a good move for everyone involved, including ISE, CD, and Avixa. It's very smart, responsible. I don't know if it's fiscally responsible, because like I said, I don't know those numbers, but for all the stakeholders, I think it is probably the best thing that could have been done.
Yeah, very good. Dennis, is this a Is this a foreshadow of things to come for CD Expo in September and Infocom in October, I believe, in Florida?
No, I think, I'd say in the States right now, there's a flickering green light at the end of the tunnel. If you believe what the president said last week, he said by the end of May, everybody's going to have the ability, obviously not be inoculated, but have the ability. And so I think with all of the shots, and there'll be more vendors coming with shots, you have from May through September. And I think this is what's going to happen. I think CEDIA will be the first show to go live. But with that said, in my humble opinion right now, and we have a booth on the floor for that show, I think it's going to be poor attendance because I think the fear is still going to be there. And I really don't think a lot of this fear is going to go away until probably January of next year.
Very good. Henry, my friend, is the localization the kind of the big push here? Is that going to be something that we come out on the other side going, we're going to see more and more localization? Like, we'll still have the big shows at some point, but will localization become even more important?
Yeah, I see a couple of dynamics in play. One is it's the show industry's been forced into it, but I feel like they're also using the opportunity to test out new formats that they would never have gotten the opportunity to test in other times. Somebody described the pandemic as 10 years worth of innovation crammed into 2 months. So I think they're saying, fine, we've got to make a silk purse out of this sow's ear. Let's try regionals. Let's play around with the P&L, see if we can figure out a way to skin the cat, get better attendance. It gives them a way to break it up and make things more approachable because to Dennis's point, a lot of it really has to do with the emotional, the perception that, hey, I'm okay being around other people outside of my pod. And you're just starting to see that now where, like just today, I went to a meeting, a couple people took off their masks and said, I'm vaccinated. So that's where we are in March 2021. Where will we be in June? Probably a world. Yeah. So I think it's week by week, month by month, and things are going to change if they need to change. I can remember Crestron announcing their participation in CEDIA last year. You remember that? Like CEDIA last year, thinking we were going to have an in-person CEDIA, and how potentially laughable that is in the rearview mirror. So we don't know. But I feel like that's the attitude everybody's going into it with. We don't know. This is what we're planning, but it could change. But I think it's about as good a plan as any.
All right. I like it.
Matt, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So who is going to sponsor the CEDIA vaccination pavilion? So if you go and you haven't been vaccinated, you can get it before you go in. Who's going to sponsor that? That's a good idea.
I think it's going to be the Sputnik vaccination. We'll sponsor it. There you go. There you go. Oh, goodness. I'm going to hear about that one. Hey, thanks for watching the first segment of this week's episode. To catch the entire show, please click the link below or visit avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv.